Hello, my name is Joanna and I'm feeling crafty. Welcome back to my YouTube channel where I talk all about sewing. But today I'm actually not going to talk about sewing. Well, a little bit. First of all, I've received a humongous influx in subscribers recently, so thank you very much. There's almost 500 of you, which is insane. I really did not expect that. I took part in a vlogger tour for a sewing challenge recently, so a few of you came from that, and I also have been mentioned by lovely Alison from Sew Like Dottie. So I'm very grateful, and I'm very grateful for all of you who are watching. Welcome. Today I want to talk about my bullet journal. I've been keeping a bullet journal for about 5 years now, and I have changed the way I do things in my bullet journal. I also changed the bullet journal, the actual book itself. And I love talking about it, so I will talk to you about it. I just think I have neat things I do with my journal, and I think they're worth sharing, so stick around. Okay, so maybe I'll start with what I use my bullet journal for. And that is everything. My whole life is in my journal. So I have always kept a journal since I was a teenager. I would have breaks here and there. I would use it for different things. I would have different notebooks for recording, for just journaling, just writing stuff. I would have another one for my sewing stuff. I would have a diary for work. I would have one for my private life, and I also absolutely love buying stationery, so I would keep a journal just for the joy of having an excuse to buy another notebook. But a few years ago, my husband actually has discovered the bullet journal method, and the method I'm talking about is the I wouldn't say Jonathan Carroll, but that's the author of Alice in Wonderland, isn't it? I'm going to look that up. It is not Jonathan Carroll. I'm adorable. It's Ryder Carroll. This is the method I have been introduced to, and I use the method very, very loosely at this stage. But the concept, the kind of framework is there. I don't use all elements of it. I kind of just evolved into doing my own method. So let me just start with the book that I use. I used to use just a normal, this is A5 size notebook. I think the very first one I had, which was a gift from my husband, was actually lined, and that did suit me at the time. But then I started incorporating a lot of my sewing into my journal, so I then moved on to the dotted page A4 journal. And as I said, I do love shopping for stationery, and one of my favorite places is TK Maxx, because you can get all sorts of stuff. So I discovered this notebook, which is by company Pepalani. Not sure how to pronounce it. It's a German company. This is what they look like. Now, the difference between this book and this book, it's, oh, Jesus, that it's ever so slightly bigger. I don't know if you can see that. So it's tiny bit taller and tiny bit wider. And that really suited me at the time with the kind of spreads that I was doing, which is, I'm going to show you one page. I'm kind of trying to block private things, okay? So in this spread, I'll keep it at the distance and then you won't be able to read things, hopefully. So what I have in this spread, I have the dates. So this is my weekly spread. So these are the dates and these are the things that I wanted to include in my journal. So flow, which is where I am with my cycle. This is my meal planner. So I would have all the dinners for the week, all the tasks to be completed that week, all the events, and that includes my kids' after school activities, any family stuff that requires my presence. And then I would have a section for reflection, and that I usually divided in half for my highs and my lows. What were the highs of my day and the lows of my day. And then at some stage, I actually stopped dividing that, and I would just have one just to write, sometimes just a sentence. I just love writing. My formal education is in journalism. I have masters in political science. And when I was a little girl, I dreamt to be a journalist. So I've always had a knack for writing, and I enjoy writing, journaling. It's good for my head. It's something I went back to after my mum passed away. I struggled not with depression. I've never been diagnosed with depression because it's not something that just pops up. It's something that never goes away. But I guess bereavement with a touch of postnatal depression, because my mom passed away at exactly the same time when I had my second daughter, and that was just a little too much. So what came up in therapy when I went to therapy was the whole aspect of mindfulness, and this was one aspect of the practice that I have introduced in my life very successfully. So today I don't want to show you the full setup of my bullet journal. I want to focus on my weekly spread, because I think from like very elaborate spreads, and I'll show you, I had some that I tried to look, I tried to make them look very pretty. Like I did it in columns, and I would have pretty pictures. I have one of those little printer for my photographs, mini printer by Canon, and that prints pictures on in small format on a sticker paper, and I love that for my journal to include pictures of my makes. So that's the picture that you might see there. That's my daughter. I made her a lovely t-shirt and stuck a picture of it in. What has happened with this quite elaborate of a weekly spread is that it has become, well, I did stick to it for I think a year, but with mixed results, okay? So I'm going to cover that in a little bit more detail, but I also want to show you that bullet journal can really replace everything, okay? So this is where I used my picture printer. So this is my 2021 in pictures. So for every month of the year I printed one picture, and I loved that. I also this summer, like summertime or whenever kids are off school, I find that I don't use my journal as much. I use my journal for journaling, for writing, but not so much, you know, I wouldn't even set up a weekly spread for, because my schedule then isn't as rigid. Like during summer holidays, I don't teach, and you know, we do quite a bit of traveling then, so I don't really need it. This is my July. That's all I did in July. I did a lot of sewing, so this is what I sewed. This is what I read. I like to reflect on the things I read. Sometimes I would write a little more about the books I read. I use these stickers for my months, because it's just so much work to write that, so I just use these stickers, and I will link the shop that I use down below. Now in my what I sewed, I usually write a little bit about the modifications I've done of the patterns, or just any feelings I might have about the pattern. And here is just few pictures from our summer. I love that. And I've done another one from our trip to Spain. I really went to town, so I printed pictures from all the places we visited, and I did write a little bit down about each of the places, and I love that. So this kind of folds out. It's like a little photo album. But I do as much as I need, or as little as I need. As I said, my July just had 2 pages. Usually I would take about, I don't know, 10 or more. So that's what I love about bullet journal, that it's very low pressure. You use it as much as you want, or not at all. Now, I'm going to change the camera angle and show you my weekly spread. Okay, so I just set up my journal for this week, and I keep it super simple, and I would encourage you to maybe give this one a go if you feel that your journal has become a chore, and that keeping it and putting things down is too much. Then simplify. At the moment, like I do love elaborate spreads, and I might go back to them at some stage, but at the moment this is what is really working for me, and it has become a revelation that just simplifying things can boost my journal creativity so much. Okay, so this is week 47, which is this week, and these are my days. So I have Monday 21, Tuesday 22, and so on. Now the number there in red is where I am with my cycle. I like to know, I don't have a separate tracker for my cycle. Like my fertility is of no importance to me at this stage of my life. I'm 44 and I have 2 children, and I'm not going to have any more kids. So I like to know where I am with my cycle, to be aware of it, because I like to be in tune with where I am. Then this is my meal planner, so I would write down all the meals for this week, and I would incorporate if there is any eating out planned for this week. That would appear here as well, so that I don't plan, because I do my weekly shopping predominantly once. I would do trips for like basics, maybe additional once or twice, but I like to do weekly shopping once. I find that this is the most cost effective for me, and also it is, I just don't waste food as much if I plan. And I also then can see what I'm cooking during the week, and then sometimes I would, if I know that I'm going to be busy that week, I would then make, let's say, a bolognese on one day and then eat that on another day. So I love meal planning. It saves a lot of time. A lot of time and money, but also waste. I myself have not the best habits when it comes to wasting food. it is something I had to become quite mindful of and work on. But I'm pretty good right now and quite creative with my leftovers. I love my meal planner. So then the events, this is all the appointments that we have for the week. So all the classes, if I take classes or if I teach classes, they will all be populated here. All of my kids' after school activities are populated here, unless they're activities that their father brings them to, because they some of the sports, he's a coach, so some of the sports he takes care of, some of the matches that might happen at the weekend he takes care of, so then I don't have to be, so if it involves my presence, it will be here. And then these are the tasks, and I go quite detailed with my tasks, even if it's laundry, even if it's groceries, even if it's something specific grocery wise that requires a special trip to a different shop, I would jot it down. Also, what I like doing is things that I have not planned for, but I did, like tasks that just popped up. I like to put them down retrospectively in here, to have a record of it, but also for the joy of ticking things off. Now, when I set up my journal, I like to put a little quote for the week, and this is depending where I am with my cycle and my energy levels. Like right now, like I'm just coming, my period is finished, and I just have to be a little gentle with my energy because it's not quite there yet. So the quote there would reflect that, to give me a little bit of boost of energy. But this week I just spent a lot of time making costumes for the school play, so it's a big job, and I kind of have to be cherishing my creativity a little bit. So this is a little inspirational hug I'm giving myself there. And so this is like a diary for the week, and then this blank page is where I journal. And I used to be quite elaborate with the space for journaling, but now I found that if I have a page where everything needs to be planned, and then I have this blank page, I am more likely, and that page doesn't then have designated days that I have to journal on a Monday, and Monday journaling space is here. Like if there is no frames, I'm more likely to journal, and sometimes it's a sentence, and sometimes I would take a full page for a day if that's what I need. Okay, so I love that, and the emptiness and freedom of it. Sometimes it requires, sometimes I doodle, sometimes I do sketches of my next makes. It's whatever it is that I need to do. So my my journal is covered. I made that cover, and I do have a tutorial on my channel how to cover your journal. And then I have these, there's just some documents that I need. So I use these sleeves to kind of keep bits. There's just some stationary bits and bobs that I use in journaling. And then over my journal, I put this little pencil case. So this is how this whole situation travels with me. And in this, I have my fountain pen. This is what I write with. I'm not Irish, and in school we were not allowed to use pencils when we learned to do joint writing and stuff. And my mom used one of those. This is what I have used most of my life. I just never progressed into ball pens or markers. I do have markers. I use these ones for fountain pen would be quite difficult to draw lines with. So I use these, but if I'm honest, I'm not very good at writing with them because I just never got used to pens. but I do have them. I do a little bit of shading on my lettering with them, or just draw lines. So that's what I would draw lines with. I have a red marker. So when I'm doing my spread, I don't even pull out my big box of stationery. I have a little ruler that came from this shop, which I can't pronounce. Um, so this little ruler is what I use to draw my weeklies. I use this pen, and this one is what I use for marking my, tracking my cycle. My fountain pen, I have usually a replacement ink thingy in there. I have a pretty marker. This one is gold. I love these markers. These are again TK Maxx find, so I don't know if this is the best there is for metallic brush markers, but that's what I have. I love it. I have a white pen, and I have one for calligraphy. And if I'm honest, I prefer to crack open a jar of ink than use this thing. I find that very difficult, but I'm learning. And I have one of those in white as well. I sometimes stick colored pages in my journal, if I have time, for a little accents of a little bit of interest. And I have a little washi tape that, like if I'm just taking notes, if I'm going to a meeting and I'm taking notes and I'm going to share that notes page with another meeting, I would just do a little border with a washi tape. So this is my weekly spread. I hope this was inspiring to you, and that you might maybe incorporate that in your own journal. Okay, so I hope that was interesting. Now, just another word on this notebook. I don't know if me recommending it is in any way practical. As I said, the manufacturer of these is German. I happen to have a friend who's German, and she travels home quite frequently, so I had her bring me some of these back, and I think I have 2 or 3 stashed away. So this notebook not only is a little bit bigger, but it has more pages. And the one I have now, I have used for 2 years. I'm almost finished with it. So in January, I will be migrating to a new book. But another thing that I absolutely love about this particular notebook is that the thickness of the paper is excellent quality. So much so that I actually watercolor in my journal. This is just for fun. This is not... I don't want to say that I'm not very good at it, because I think I am, but like, this is just for me. This is just my own standard, and I don't aspire to you know, be giving tutorials on watercolors. There's many of those, but it is something that brings me joy, and the fact that I can do it in this particular book without the colors bleeding onto the page, I find great. It's not something I do very often, but yeah, it's great fun. I do a little bit of doodling. I did that a few months ago. Like, I would have a little space per day. As you can see, I haven't done it all day that month. Just a little section for a little doodle here and there. But those are a lot of work. I don't always do them. So as I said, I do as much as I need, and I do need my journal, sometimes more than other times. Sometimes I don't need it at all. Like during summer holidays, I prefer less structure to my life. So this is just what suits my particular life. And at the end, whenever I mention my journal or people see my journal, I always get comments, oh my god, you have to have so much time. I have no time for any of that whatsoever. And my response is, time is kind of the point of this, okay? This is how I find time, because I plan things, and this is my excuse to find time for myself, because there's always time. It's, you know, how we manage time. And even if we have very little of it, and I do have very little of it, so I have to be quite careful how I manage my time, so that I can be here in my sewing room, and I can do a little bit of journaling and all the things that I need for my head to be functional. And this is a big part of it. So I hope you take something, a little something from this. Maybe just covering your journal, because when it's pretty, you're more likely to grab it. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this little video that was not at all about sewing, but a little bit about sewing. And I hope you find a little bit of time in your life for creativity this week. Bye.